like if you go through a body of water.
I don't know about this.
And we like straight up sunk the hump.
What?
It was a disaster.
Oh my
like it was
God.
like to the top, the window.
We're back. Dream Garage episode 6. Taking the Night Rider out today. It's the same color jacket as rims, but it's a 91 NSX. This thing is a dream to drive. Kind of this car I always thought my kind of Ferrari or Lamborghini when I was a kid, that knew I'd never afford those ones, so this was a nice alternative, a little more affordable. Anyway, we're gonna get out there, gonna grab a friend. This thing's warming up right now. It is cold in New York City. So grab this at the Classic Car Club, Manhattan. I'll hop in, head down to Tribeca, pick up my friend Laurence, and back at it.
It's like the best part. Amazing.
Yes.
I had no idea what we were rocking.
That's right.
Wow. This is like OG drug dealers.
That's right.
We're getting pulled over.
We're getting pulled over for sure.
Incredible.
The NSX.
Wow, what
Just
a beast.
drug dealing class.
Yeah, we gotta make a couple drops.
We're gonna make a couple drops.
A couple drops and then we rock.
Yep. Laurence Chandler in the car. Dream Garage episode 6. This guy I've known, we met in Berlin.
We met in Berlin.
We met in Berlin in a airplane hangar.
Which we just said that to Hannah the other day, and she's like, what?
Yeah,
what are you guys talking about? She was like, when did you guys meet? We were like, oh, in Berlin.
Yeah,
we were just
in
partying
Berlin.
like a decade ago.
I guess like you're a man of no title, I would say. Probably.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Actually, it's good, like, because if you say entrepreneur or something,
No.
It's like, what? Or
No
the
one
worst,
wants
if someone's like, oh, creative director or curator, it's like, skip all that.
Yeah. So.
Anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous. So you're a man of no title, but
I'm a man of many pursuits.
Many pursuits, exactly.
And with a man about town.
With a man about town.
It's a good
myself.
pairing.
So there you go.
Good pairing.
But that being said, you are heavy into art, and that's like one of your passions turned business.
Turned into business, yeah.
Or you're slowly pulling it towards.
There's always
business.
the interest in art, and I think even through conversations that we have, it's been figuring out how to integrate that into business in a natural way.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've always enjoyed is just seeing shows, seeing every gallery show. If you're traveling, I found that you can just find out where the dope place in a city is by following where the galleries are.
That's cool.
Or where a cool show is.
Up and coming, probably new restaurants, new whole scene.
There's always a little scene.
Yeah.
And that can be anywhere in the world. And sometimes you'll make a mistake, or sometimes you'll stumble onto something incredible. And it's like in New York, at any given moment, there's always a show.
Yeah.
There's always something to see, which is like the great thing about coming back to the city. So when you mentioned this, which I'm psyched on, and then you pulled up in the NSX,
Yeah.
we just missed a bunch of school kids like chasing us, super hype on the car, like, nice Acura. So now I was like, well, where should we go that's like somewhere that I would love to show someone in the city and take a quick trip?
Yeah, where I've never been.
Yeah, and I threw out the Noguchi, and now here we are.
Here we are. And you're born in
family Queens, so we're going back to Queens,
yeah, so we're
which is
going,
great.
Wow, that's even sicker.
It's a nice little trip.
We're going to your homeland.
Yeah, which is always fun, and it's like you don't often have reason to go back there, so unless you're going to an airport or something.
Yeah.
So this is like nice to go into.
The restaurant scene is starting.
There is, but
slowly.
It's rare to be like, let's hit Queens. Although we have hit Queens for certain occasions.
Yes.
Mets games.
Mets games, and we've been to a couple ballet shows.
There's a couple ballets.
Yeah.
A lot of talent.
Ballets.
So it's nice to go out there in the afternoon.
Yes.
And then just like step away, because we're both running around a ton of projects, and something like this, I'm like, let's roll, let's get out of the city.
So you grew up in Queens, coming to the city, and obviously art became. You always had not. I mean, it was probably graffiti as a kid.
It was just
because
always
we were in like that young hip hop generation, right? That was.
And I think like in looking back on it, it wasn't even like focused like on knowing that it was art in particular that I was like gravitating to, but it was just paying attention to the culture and like that, like whether it was like following graffiti or skating or any of the things that were involved in it. And then obviously that was something I was like, this is just life, this is part of it, this is what I'm like pursuing.
Yeah.
And then as I was getting older, starting to just realize like degrees of art and, you know, understanding artists and what their inspiration is and the process that goes into it just led to like one connection to the other.
Yeah.
And so I also have the clothing label Rochambeau, which I've had for...
Which is how we met.
Which is how we met.
Lawrence was showing his collection in
And at
Berlin.
that time it was still just like an idea, which is cool to think back on, because the other day someone said to me like, oh, what were you doing before Rochambeau? And I was like, actually nothing. It's always been like leading into that. And not to say I wasn't doing anything, but every project, or like I'm starting a t-shirt brand or hoodies, or I'm
tried to tie it back to...
There was always something leading towards the development of what the label is now.
And why is it called Rochambeau?
It's another way of saying rock, paper, scissors, which I always thought was like...
It's like a calculated gamble.
Yeah, it's like, you know, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You can actually still, to this day, settle almost anything with that. Whether like, who's gonna drive, who's paying for something. It's like, it's still a quick solution, and that's like at all ranges. You can like challenge like a 65-year-old man to like a rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, or a child.
Yeah, and it's like universal.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And then also the first time like we went out and were showing in Paris, no one like, some of the Asian buyers couldn't pronounce it. I'm like, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
this is pretty, I think we have something.
And you have to learn what it means.
And then I think it also, naming it Rochambeau, in hindsight, was probably the only good decision in the first like years ever made. Everything else was a disaster.
Was a bad
Everything
decision.
else
But
was
that's
like a major learning curve.
Yeah, but that's
wildly ambitious.
That's what I think people don't understand about running your own business, is like failure is part of all the success.
Or,
like if you don't fail, you're not learning anything.
Or it's a failure if you stop.
Yeah.
Over the last decade, all of our friends, everyone that we know and we work with or involved with, is all running and doing their own thing and amazing things. And there's nothing better than when there's something going on and I'm able to hit you up and be like, yo, let's plug in on this and put it together. So it's like, even though, you know, Rochambeau can still to this day operate as a small team, like the network is crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
like,
one of my favorite things about New York, is like how quickly you can accomplish anything if you want, based on who you know.
And
like
knowing that you do the same for someone else when they ask you.
When you grew up, did you have a car?
No, I don't even have a license. It's crazy. Like to this day, no license.
Okay, so you're not driving.
But I've got Wait,
how do you get into the bar?
I have a Russian mob service that'll drop me off like a Range Rover on occasion. Yeah, but ask no questions, which is amazing.
Yeah, but that's like what a New Yorker with no license would do.
You know,
is have a mob tie to get a Range Rover.
Because now I'm like, actually, how will I ever even get one? And I was looking, I was like, okay, there's definitely something that like super rich people do to not have to get a license like a normal person, and I have yet to figure that out.
That's not. No,
there's got to be a loophole.
No, there isn't.
I'm waiting it out.
You have to. You're waiting for self-driving cars, and you're like, see?
I'm waiting it out.
I don't even have to drive this car anymore, and I own it, and it's just me. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna
actually wait it out.
Oh my god.
My friend Gabe's dad collected cars.
Yeah.
And he had like, we would go out and like one night we took out like a 70s Jaguar, and the thing just like stopped going forward. And we had to drive the thing home in reverse, which was just outlandish, and sneak the thing back in, which was like...
That's amazing.
Somehow we got away with it.
That's an early car.
It was epic. And then there's another one where same kid, same father. Oh no, there's actually a couple. There's a couple.
Same kid, same father.
Same kid, same father, luckily. And so the math adds up. He had one of the original Hummers.
The H1.
Yeah, before they like commercialized it, and it was really
made
like,
it lame.
Like people would stop in traffic, like what the fuck is that? I remember we'd get like dropped off at like teen clubs or something, and people would be like so psyched, like, yo.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we took it out once, and we were taking it off-road out of the city, and I remember hearing that there was like propellers or something that the Hummer could float, or it could go through, like it could go through a body of water.
I don't know about this.
And we like straight up sunk the Hummer.
What?
It was a disaster.
Oh my
Like it was
God.
like to the top, the windows.
Oh, you thought, because you're supposed to be able to drive it to a certain depth, but
like,
you went too
we
deep.
could go right through.
Wait,
this,
so what
like,
happened?
We had to get two friends and like pull the thing out, and the thing was just mudded and basically ruined.
Oh
there was
my
no getting
God.
away with it. We basically destroyed the kid.
God.
Yeah.
So like, to me, cars and music go hand in hand. I think the age of like music and headphones is so boring.
Yeah.
But like, what were you listening to in Ali's car?
Oh my god. Because we've gotten on some like trips with music where it starts with one thing.
Yeah.
And then like something can trigger you, like a song.
Yeah, and it changes your whole
And
vibe and destination.
And you're like, whoa, what'd you just play?
Yeah.
And then it like pushes forward, and then it's like the song battle, and that can go like, it could start where you're playing like Travis Scott, and then suddenly like we've landed, and you're like playing Silverchair. And you're like, what the?
Which did happen last New Year's.
And some people will just be like, leave the room, like, okay, this is like not.
Last New Year's, it was Laurence and I playing like No Effects and like
It built like
Hoobastank,
like, easy to like
Hootie and the Blowfish,
then like turned into Soundgarden, just like
Soundgarden.
Super intense.
Guns
People,
N' Roses.
there was like a room and people were chilling, and then it was like
It was just us
It was
at
just
4 in the morning. The best high school playlist of all time.
High school players.
All right, so we're rolling up to the Noguchi Museum in Queens. Pretty dope building.
Middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
I've said to a woman working at the museum, like, do the people in the neighborhood come here? They're like, she's like, no, they don't even know it's here.
So it was is the first private museum?
So this was Noguchi, the sculptor, legendary, inspired like generations of sculptors since. He was just like, I'm gonna have my own museum.
Wow.
Like before it became a thing. And
Wow.
she's been sitting here in the same place since the 80s.
This thing is just like hidden between some like
Look at the houses across the street.
weird
It's like, what?
houses. Yeah, this is sick. How you doing?
Where are you
What?
gonna find a hidden garden in the middle?
This is
of
incredible.
It's incredible.
And oddly so quiet.
You feel like you just left New York. It is the
Wow.
hidden refuge of the city.
So these are some of his.
These are all Noguchi outside, like part of the permanent collection. And the amazing thing is everything was like done by hand. Like he had tools obviously, but there was
there's no machine.
like, no mass machinery. So these were like every sculpture was real process.
Wow. Full Zen garden.
Full Zen garden vibes.
Hangover cure. Just prime yourself for the next martini.
This is the bounce back. This is a great place for recovery.
So good.
He was an originator of like the materials he was working with, going from stone to metal to fabric. So I just did the collection with Aaron Carey, and Aaron like took great reference from his work. So sometimes seeing some of them and like the inspiration
Inspires you for more.
That was incredible.
All right, museum.
That's hard. There's a nice
very hard.
breather in the midst of a busy week. That's
In the midst of
very
a
nice,
scrapyard.
That's a very nice step away.
Very nice step away.
And now back into the heater.
One thing I've been liking to ask people is just like, if you had to give a tip to someone trying to make it in New York and just hustle, what would that be? Because we know you hustle super hard and you're diversified across your platforms and you have like a whole lot going on, but you've created it all from thin air. So how does one kind of take that step instead of going the corporate route?
I think for me, it's always been like follow through. Like if you keep to your word, even if the opportunity doesn't seem like the biggest one in the world, and you over deliver, the people who gave you that opportunity are going to recognize that, and it's going to lead to the next one. That's going to build a network. So the follow through is so critical. So it's like if you commit to something, you see it through, and that leads to the next thing. And suddenly you wind up with a great network and people give you opportunities. And that small thing that you like knocked out, where you could have just been like, you know what, it's not the biggest thing for me, I'll just like get through it.
Yeah.
Taking everything serious from day one turns things into something serious.
And going above and beyond what they expect.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's such a good, easy tip, and like something I find myself doing, but I don't focus on. But I'm always like, oh, I should just do a little more.
Even with like the starting the label, I remember our first opportunity was like when Made was doing Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Like Rossi and those guys would give us like a little studio showroom, and people would just take platforms and stand the model on. We were like, all right, we've got a studio now. We're gonna run a full runway show, build a set. Like, it was so over the top, and just people were killing themselves. Like, we were building our own sets, making everything happen.
When no one expected it.
With no long-term agenda.
Yeah.
And then in hindsight, looking back at that, after how now doing like massive runway shows and having opportunities to show during New York Fashion Week and all these great things, it's like that came from the extra putting in at like, oh, we could just do a presentation, but
Yeah.
let's just push
But
it.
now you can push
Yeah.
the envelope further and further.
And it's
further.
those people that see that happen that are going to let the big thing happen. So I
Cool.
think that's like such a key thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to work hard, make sure you have some stake in it. And the sooner you start something that's your own, or connect and work with people and build something that's your own, the sooner something becomes real and your efforts are worth it.
And I'm also kind of hearing in there like, never become comfortable.
No.
Like, I feel like that's what you're saying is like all these people build their brands and they're like, oh yeah, I'm killing it. But then it's like, at what?
Yeah.
Like if you can't change that and mold it into something where people are going to keep talking. And that's what I'm struggling with right now is, which is why by and large we're doing this series and this episode is like, what's my next thing? Like I can't DJ forever. Like I can DJ for a long time, but like I also want to keep evolving and I'm not creating music. So how do I, what do I add to that? And like, I'm just looking at YouTube as a platform to do that, but it's difficult. This is like a really difficult challenge for me, but it's interesting and I'm enjoying the challenge, but you got to keep like what's next?
And you got to take the risk and you got to be open to trying it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we wound up doing this. I'm like, yeah, this sounds sick. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
And I think like that's what Rochambeau as like an alter ego has been for you, right?
Yeah.
It's like a whole platform to throw things at a wall
Just try it.
and see what sticks.
That's also like in some way, and right now like making content is very real. I found it like from an early stage, like making a hoodie is making something real and putting it into the environment.
Yeah.
Even if you start with like the simplest thing, you'd be amazed by once something is tangible, people get around it and they support it because
Totally.
it takes risk, it takes effort. You got to really go for it. Not only like you have to be smart in how you do it, but once it's there,
Yeah.
things start to happen that you
Yeah.
could never plan for. So you
That's
got to
so true.
allow yourself to have created that opportunity for the unplanned for thing to happen,
Yeah.
and then also still be open to that.
All right, well, we're coming to an end, which means you got to get back to your son.
Little Dash, shouts to Dash.
Shout out to Dash.
Little
Laurence
Dash.
is a new dad, and it's pretty amazing.
It's incredible.
But
That was a nice little run. That was fun.
nice run right there.
Beautiful day. Nice
Beautiful
fall
day.
day. Opened up in New York.
Yeah. Lawrence
My
Chandler.
man.
I'll
Thank you,
put his
man.
brand down here, his Instagram, which is private anyway, so I don't know if you're gonna want to be there.
There's a lot of art.
You got to keep some things tight. And this guy lives in Tribeca, which is just goals in itself. Hopefully, I'll be down here living with him soon.
Hey.
One day.
You got to start the work day now.
Yeah. It's all right. Thanks,
All right,
brother.
G.
Good to have you.
Thanks for tuning in. Peace, guys.
Later. All right, Laurence Chandler. As you can see, the man is very passionate about art. I'm trying to learn more and more about art as I can because I think it's super interesting and just an interesting industry to know, but more so, the guy's just a crazy hustler. So I'm proud of that guy for what he's accomplished. Anyway, Dream Garage, episode 6. The NSX, come on. Classic Car Club, I'm a member there, as you may or may not know. Hannah got me for Valentine's Day. So I'm gonna drop this thing off, put it to bed. I gotta go to a dinner tonight and off to LA tomorrow, so peace. Thanks for being with me. And episode 7 coming right up.